Hello. I seem to be having a couple of technical issues, so bear with me a sec. I'm just waiting for Ellie to join. Hope everyone's okay. Bear with me, everyone. Hello.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I'm on my phone. I don't know what that computer's doing. Okay, cool.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah, not too bad. I'm just lining up that Carlos Tevos picture behind me.
Oh, well done. I'm just going to do a quick introduction, and then we'll get on with some questions. Um, so I'm going to read from a little script here. uh, for those who don't know, I'm Annabel. I'm one of the comms team volunteers at CCFC. I'm a mad Clapton fan and also one of the players for the CCFC 5. The latter point being the most pertinent, as we're going to shine a light on the CCFC 5s today by chatting to Ellie, our wonderful coach. Many of you won't know much about this particular competitive wing of CCFC. We play in the Super 5 League in Hackney. In our first season, Ellie, along with Julie Leaf and Byron Bramble, coached us to glory as we were crowned champions of the Flexi division. That's no mean feat, given that many of us, including myself, hadn't even kicked a ball a year previous to winning our trophy. So it's pretty amazing. And it's thanks to Ellie and our other coaches' dedication and passion that we did so well and enjoyed every minute of it. It's been a really good experience. And we get to restart the league this week, so it's going to be fantastic. So we now have 2 women and non-binary five-a-side teams playing for CCFC in the league. I'd like to start tonight's interview with asking Ellie how it all began. But before we get started, I want to make a special announcement about the odd spotted dog. As you'll be well aware, we became the new owners of London's oldest senior football ground back in July 2020. And we got to work straight away on reversing many years of neglect by the previous owners. However, the neglect is so bad that we now have to find the small amount of £15,000 just to fix the roof of the clubhouse. And without this, we won't be able to bring football back to the old spotted dog. So we've set up a fund in the hopes of raising enough money for the repairs. You can find the link in the bio, but also I handily wrote it back to front so that it looks the right way around. I've made a mistake and did it the wrong way around before. But that's the link to donate to the appeal. Anything will help, doesn't matter how small. Anyway, let's get on with this. Ellie, hi.
Hiya. Please, yeah,
Right,
please
so,
don't.
hey, oh yeah, please donate. Yes, please do. So I've actually got tons of questions. So we need to see where we're going to start here. I think actually I'd like to start by, you giving a quick overview of how the fives team even started in the first place.
Yeah. Um, yeah, how did it start? Well, I suppose I've got to say, Frank, a big talk about Eva now, because I think Eva, one of the Clapton crew, played a big part of making it actually happen. Me and Julie were kind of mulling the idea a bit anyway. We might maybe come in towards retirement, so as players, so we were thinking of it anyway, and we were inspired by Clapton anyway, and had been to quite a few games and really enjoyed it. And yeah, one day I put I suppose a bit of a, not the friendliest of message on a social media account of Clapton saying, yeah, you're great, but it's a bit embarrassing you haven't got a women's team. And the response was really nice, and they just kind of said, yeah, I know, we're working on it, will you help? And me and Julie had some meetings with Eva and with Stephen, and yeah, and we're just encouraged. And yeah, I mean, they were right. You can't really moan about things if you're not going to do anything about it.
That's true.
I mean, you can, but yeah, well, it doesn't really help,
We all
does
do.
it? Yeah. I mean, to be fair, ranting's quite healthy, but yeah. But anyway, yeah. So it was really nice, and it was all kind of happening at the same time as Stoke Newington AFC were coming in to form the women's first team, and I know some of them. I played in a kind of mixed old girls and young girls tournament with a couple of them actually, which we won, of course. But yeah, so I knew a bit of them, and yeah, I just wanted to, you know, I've got a lot of feelings about the way women have been excluded from football.
Yeah,
Right,
sorry
Belle?
about that, Ellie. I was catching half of that. My headphones just decided to run out of battery. Very professional.
Yeah.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Good. And also, I mean, the Fives team itself just started with a bit of a sort of hopeful kickabout on Hackney Downs, didn't it, in August 2019?
We really weren't sure if anyone was going to turn up, Bells. Me and Julie, we borrowed some equipment without telling anyone from a local school, and someone made a really cool flyer. I think it was Paul actually. You don't have to be Megan Rapinoe.
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah, and that was it. And we started with 6, and you were one of those original 6, weren't you?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I never thought I was ever going to play football, not being able to play it at school, and just being discouraged from it. Really, I thought I was too old, being in my 30s at some point, some point of my 30s.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd play. So yeah, I'm like eternally grateful for it, and really am. So, and it's amazing.
I mean, same, Bells. You know what I mean? It's been an amazing journey to go on and to see everyone like develop as individual players, but more than that, kind of come together as a team, because it's a team that wins. It's, you know, individual skills, and it's such an emotional journey.
Tell me about it.
This one of the most passionate games in the world, isn't it? I mean, it's more than a game to me, but yeah.
Yeah, I've
it's been quite a journey.
A bit reprimanded by Ellie in the past for getting a bit too passionate.
I think everyone has, Bells, don't you worry, mate. And if the passion wasn't there, I'd be worried. You know what I mean? So
yeah, fair enough. All right, so I'm gonna go through some of the questions. So first of all, there's Joe on Facebook who says, "How can the Fives team help grow our community club?"
Oh, so many ways. I mean, they already have. I don't even know where to start, from the Palestinian girls football team visit to the E5 baby bank. I mean, we're bringing more people into the club, and we're bringing good people into the club. We've got almost 50 people in that WhatsApp group now. They don't come every week. We get between 25 and 30 every week. Everyone's donating to Clapton. Almost everyone's joined the club. The newer players, they take a few weeks. You know, they need to get to know things a bit first. The love of football, the love of Clapton, and the love of the community. I mean, that's kind of what
can you ask for?
Yeah, it's so many ways, and they've been involved in so much as well. I mean, like on the first lockdown that happened, I work with vulnerable people, and you know, Bells, because you helped with this. People came out from the Fives training, from the beginners training, and delivered essential parcels to families all around Hackney. Like, there's so much community stuff going on top of the football, but the football itself creates a community. So
yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
What do you think is the best thing about the Fives game? I mean, I think that's quite a broad question. I don't really know if they mean like our game specifically or five-a-side in general.
Yeah. I mean, I love five-a-side, and I grew to love it because I was too old and injured and unfit for 11-a-side, really. But I always loved it because you always play small-sided games in training. And I think you have to be so skilled and so quick and so supportive in your positioning and play off the ball.
Yeah, you don't get any rest at all.
Yeah, it's such a great game. And the way it's done in the Super 5 League is even better, because although I love indoor five-a-side, you know, off the walls, keeping it low, the Super 5 League is actually small-sided football with throw-ins, corners, headers. You're allowed in the box.
Yeah.
It's actually a six-a-side pitch and a six-a-side goal. So there's a fair bit of running, and it's
yeah, there is.
Yeah. And it's quick, and you've got to control it and move it on. Ideally, it's one-touch football, but yeah, we're working on that, aren't we? Still, but we're getting there. You know.
We definitely are.
Yeah.
So on Instagram, Stefan Kilrun, hey, he asks, he says, I'm loving the winning ways, but I know nothing of the five-a-side team. I mean, Stefan, come on. How did it start? Well, I think we've been through that. But as a manager, are you looking to move to 11-a-side? I hope the answer is no, but yeah.
Well, we're doing that already as well, because I think for some players, we should have mentioned that, shouldn't we? So we've had 3 friendlies now, and we've got our first league game. So beginners 11-a-side league. We've brought the 2 different 5 teams together, plus some people from training. So we're taking about 15, 16 players. There's plenty of subbing going on. Because so many women have been denied this game. Let's not mess about. I mean, this is about giving opportunity. This is about having that experience and being a part of the most beautiful game in the world, and it's been denied to us. And even when the ban's listed, it's still denied to us now. People laugh and sneer like you can't play football unless you're the greatest, unless you're Neymar or something. I don't know. Some of the attitudes are just awful. But yeah, I think having that 11-a-side spirit, it's just a monthly friendly league. It's because there's a lot of women's teams springing up in the wake of the World Cup and just gaining in confidence because of that, I think. So it's really nice to be able to go in with Brentford and the Muslim Sports Association and get this going. It's being subsidised by the FA, the 11-a-side league. And it is more as an experiment. We're not sure how it is because it's such a bigger commitment than playing, in the Super 5 league. It is a different experience because it's on such a bigger scale. And there's a lot, tactics become and positioning. It's a different experience, and we want the women to have that. And then maybe some of them will pass on to the development squad. And we're creating an academy of women's football here. Let's not mess about.
Yeah, we are.
And I hope that eventually maybe some players will even move up, because some people are turning up who have played and have some skills, but haven't had anywhere to go with them for a long time. And some people are developing really fast. And some people are we're just going to pass straight on because it's open training. We can pick them up. But the aim of it isn't that. The aim isn't for athletic excellence. The aim of it is to create a community around football and to have fun and play a game.
We have a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun.
So do I, mate.
Joe on Instagram, I mean, I know the answer to this. I don't even know if I want to ask it, but what team or teams do you support and why? Just why?
Oh, God, that's a difficult question. Yeah, so I mean, I come from a West Ham family. That's where I grew up. That's, my brother and dad supported. And one of my earliest memories is West Ham beating Arsenal 1-0 in the FA Cup final in 1980.
Moving on.
We get the last trophy we won. Do you know what I mean? It's not easy being a West Ham fan, I tell you.
Fair, yeah.
I mean, I just love football. Like, I can appreciate. I always keep an eye on Atletico Bilbao because of a good friend of mine. So I'm a huge Bielsa fan. I think he's a genius. And now I'm watching Leeds. Do you know what I mean? I'm a football fan. And if we're going to talk about real football, I talk about women's football. It's the Women's Super League is amazing this season. It's Tobin Heath, the greatest attacking midfielder women's football has probably ever seen, playing for Manchester United. I can get over team allegiance.
Also, it took United long enough to get a women's team together, though, didn't it?
Exactly. So much that can piss me off when it comes to football. When it comes to the FA, I think they're a shame. I know there's individuals, working at the front line of the FA that are doing, nice people doing their best, but the institution itself is rotten to the core, needs to be knocked down. And I want to see women and people of colour and people of different sexualities on running the FA until that day happens. I haven't really got time for them,
Yeah, same.
Not that interested in Premier League football. Obviously, I love beautiful football, so I do.
Yeah, it's like a guilty pleasure.
Give enough money.
All right.
They won't get money.
Toby Cohen says, "What's the best celebration you've ever seen?"
Oh my days, that's a really difficult one, actually. But I will never forget the moment you backheeled it and Sinead smashed it in. Okay. Who was that against? It's the Reds. I can't even think who that was again. And that moment on everyone's faces, on Sinead's face, because it was such a shock. Do you know what I mean? On your look between you and Sinead and the jump in the air. I remember Jess used to do great celebrations.
Oh my God, yeah.
There's a split second of
oh, big shout out to Jess and Gabs. We miss them.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lovely picture that went on for Fred's radio of them two celebrating the goal together.
Yeah, it was so lovely.
Yeah. There are there to leave, didn't they, because of lockdown and
yeah, I know, but
they took them
they're with us all the time, pretty much. Yeah. They're still our biggest supporters, I think. Okay, Eva has asked a few questions. Hey, Eva. I think this is a good one. What have been your highlights and lowlights of the 5 so far?
Wow, I mean, highlights is so much easier than lowlights. I mean, there was difficulties at the beginning with expectations, and I think managing players' expectations can get a bit difficult. Mm-hmm. You know, because we need a squad that's bigger than the team that goes on the night. So some people do occasionally have to be left out and not play that night. Mm. As every team does, you need a squad bigger than your team. And yeah, there's some feelings around that. So managing that, I think, is the hardest part of it. No, it was lowlights. There haven't really been any. It's not really been that many low moments. No. Highlights are just so many. I mean, like every goal, every pass intercepted, it's a quite emotional roller coaster watching them, because I'm not watching you guys because I know how much work's been put into it. Mm. And so when you're out there, it's like, in the words of Byron, I often quote, football is about the moments. It's not just about the winning and the final score. It's about the moments when you pull it together and you've got those 3 or 4 unbroken passes and you're carrying the ball up the pitch with your teammates. And all right, you hit the post.
Oh, you hit the flipping post.
Yeah. Sugar. Yeah, you hit the post. All right, yeah, but that moment still counts, you know, and that's part of building something, isn't it? That moment when your first touch is delicious and you take the ball out of the sky and you're in complete control. Like, remember those moments, you know?
Yeah.
And there's so many highlights with Super 5, and that trophy was so deserved, and so, you know, so much work and commitment and dedication went into that. And it was really just thinking about it. I can't believe we pulled it off. You know, you can't. Like, I can't. Like, it's almost like a little bit of a dream to take a team to the trophy in their first season. Yeah. You know, in a league that was mainly beginners, but it was a flexi league. There were people in there that weren't beginners. You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
We had a professional handball goalie on one team. It was super aggressive. And there were all sorts of dramas along the way, weren't there?
Yeah, it's been a little bit EastEnders now and then.
Yeah. Did you pick a highlight, Rose? I mean, what would be your highlight?
Oh my goodness. Honestly, I mean, obviously winning the trophy, you can't even, I mean, nothing can really compare to that. But actually, even just going out on the first ever match, like, we were just so hyped up to go out there and finally play a match, and we just couldn't believe it, you know. And it was just actually, that was that, oh yeah, I got injured in our first match, didn't I?
That's right, you pulled a muscle, didn't you? Or you tore a muscle.
But we still won. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I don't know, just being with everyone and like getting to know people has been brilliant, and building a real team spirit and just watching people develop as well. It's hard to pinpoint. Well, I mean, beating Monday Al, obviously.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
I enjoyed that, Belle.
So I'm going to pick another one from Eva, because she has sent quite a few. She said, actually, walking past Mabley Green, which is where we play on Wednesdays and Thursdays. Wednesdays is our beginners team, and Thursdays is our flexi team. She said that it's always packed. Do you think five-a-side is generally getting more popular, and why?
Oh, that's a good question. I think as an access to a part, you know, 51% of the population being excluded from this game. So as an access to football, I definitely think it's getting more popular, or is more popular amongst women coming in to football, and women that have been excluded, so are a bit older and are now coming back because there's more access for them as well, you know. Yeah. I mean, myself included, Super 5 has created a space that's giving access to so many women, and five-a-side is a more accessible way. Much like with kids, when you're teaching football, you'll go from 5s to 7s to 9s to 11s. You know, it's how you develop a player, isn't it? So, but also from a sort of fitness point of view, you know, there's no sliding tackles. It hasn't got that same crunching side of football.
Yeah, not quite.
Don't get me wrong, there's plenty of barging and, you know, it's a physical contact sport, but it is a little bit different than 11-a-side in that sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I actually think it's more fun because it's faster, it's quicker, you get more goals per game.
Yeah.
I don't know. If I was still in my 20s and super fit, would I be arguing this? I don't know, because football is technically, you know, an 11-a-side game. I think we need to get through this first beginners 11-a-side season and then see how people feel. But I don't think we have to choose one over the other.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I do think it's more popular because it's a really good point.
I mean, it's great. It's absolutely great. All right, let's okay, got some from Twitter. Simon says, oh, I can't believe I just said that. Sorry, Simon. He said, huge respect for what you've done with the Fives. Would you like to manage one of the CCFC teams at some point in the future? I assume he means one of the other, probably 11-a-side teams.
Yeah, it's an interesting question because I've kind of, I mean, in a way, I do have, you know, in a way, I would. Part of me would. It would be a joy to take, you know, it's a whole nother world. And, you know, I've got a fair bit of experience that I would need to develop, but it's a whole nother world when you've got technical players and you're arranging them on a pitch and, you know, you're coaching with the first team. So that, would I like to do that? Part of me would, but part of me wouldn't, because I think football is such a powerful tool in the community. And I came to coaching through work and coaching with vulnerable people as a kind of therapeutic intervention. Yeah. So I think, actually, I kind of like this more because it's bringing people in and the excitement and getting them going and sending them off in their journey. And we've just, our first player from the Fives is starting to tentatively stick her toe into the development team. Yeah, and that's really nice. Yeah. But more than that, seeing the friendships that have developed and the moments and the people falling on the floor laughing so much. You know what I mean? Those are the moments. Like it would get. I was go on, Belle.
So I was just thinking about talking about laughing and we've got quite a reputation for being pretty loud, and I was just thinking back to that match a couple of months ago where one of the other managers was maybe complaining a little bit that we were too vociferous in our cheering of our team. I love that. That was brilliant. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, quite a nice complaint to have against you, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Too much laughter. Yeah.
There's a question from the Gravy Ultras. They say, in terms of win rate, are you the most successful team at Clapton? And what should the other teams learn from you?
Oh, wow. I think, I don't actually know the answer, but I was, we were at one point on the longest ever Clapton CFC, winning streak. I think we went 11 games unbeaten, didn't we? And apparently that is a record, so I'll claim that. You claim that too, Bells. Yeah, I hope that one of the first teams breaks that record at some point.
Yeah, well, women are looking really good as well, which is so great to see. Yeah. Tommaso, he says, what's the future plans for the Five setup? And have you thought of a Sevens?
Oh, don't. Sevens is actually my favourite, I think. I do, yeah. I have thought of a Sevens, but I haven't come across such an accessible league as Fives, and especially with the beginners, Super Five, you know, for people that haven't got the confidence or haven't had the opportunity to play or be coached, then it's like the perfect thing. So what do I think of the future of it? Do you know what? I don't know, because we could pull together 2 more teams to go in that league, I think. And at some point, we've got to think, okay, I think we'll probably have to call it on those 2 teams in the league and the 11 and see how far they go. But then within the trainings that we do on Saturdays, you know, those players can get a little bit of experience. Yeah. I don't know. We have to see what happens and what comes with training, because this could get bigger than I could cope with. How big do we want to go? Like, I think Clapton's tapped into something here by embracing women's football and supporting women's football like this. And I don't know how big it's going to go, but it could well equal the men's. And I don't know how well we'll be able to fund. And I don't know what's going to happen with Spotted Dog, because I think that will make a big difference if we have access to that or not, you know.
Yes,
and
Spotted Dog, remember?
Help.
There's a question from the Super 5 League. They ask, why are you such a legend?
That's Shazza, isn't it? Yeah. Well, I don't know. I could ask him the same question. Yeah.
He also asked, do you remember how you met Shaz? Shaz is the the guy that put it all together, basically, and runs the league. But yeah, he said, do you remember how you met?
I think so. We both worked for Hackney Council, and he was running the Hackney Homes League. I'm trying to think, actually, if I met him somewhere else, even with Panya, because I might have done. Like, I feel like he's been around a lot. Yeah, because we've both kind of got roots in Hackney. So, but I distinctly remember I was working for a drug and alcohol service, and I got given the task of working with the East London Foundation Trust and creating this football team, recovery football team, the Lifeline team. And he agreed to put us in a 7-a-side league that played at Mabley amongst sort of housing workers and council workers, and kind of free of charge to kind of give them the opportunity to play. And there was some issues around, should we call it, emotional regulation generally in that league, and I think in men's football generally, I mean, you see it in all football. I don't want to be tough on the men, but and calling it emotional regulation is kind of me being polite with my work head. I'm going to tell you that. Lots of anger and aggression spilling out left, right and centre, dummies being spit out the pram, that sort of thing. But my guys were all right. They had their moments, but they were all right, and it was a really amazing experience. And it kind of brought me back into football in a different way, because I've been kind of burned before by the FA. So, so it brought me back into football in a really nice way. And, yeah, we had some outstanding players on that team. Lovely guys. And I was really glad to be a part of that as well. That was a joy.
I know, you've done so much. Amazing.
And Shazza was great then as he is now. You know, I could
we're really thankful to Shazza. Massively. Gary has asked, playing or coaching, which do you prefer? I mean, I feel like I know the answer to this already.
Well, what do you think the answer is, Will?
Playing.
I mean, I'm bloody 44 with a torn tendon in my ankle, a dodgy knee, and a fracture in my back. It's like, what am I doing? Oh, and then I broke my arm in the Super 5 League trying to do silliness. But anyway, I do still love playing, and I'm glad I still get the opportunity to play, because I think an 11-a-side would kill me. I did do about 20 minutes in an 11-a-side back in January. That was good fun. But I'm loving coaching. It's different from playing, of course it is. And there's always and I'm always I'm happy to play in like oldies and mixed tournaments and things like that. I'm really hoping the coaches can come together for some friendlies on the pitch at the OSD once you've all given some money to that roof appeal. Already. And
what appeal?
That roof appeal, yay! Did you say roof appeal, Bells?
Yeah, there's a roof appeal. 15k we need. Yeah.
Cool.
I'm just Chelsea just sent a message saying Ellie is legit one of the best strikers to grace the fake grass of Mabley. Seriously.
Oh, bless Chelsea. I'm not sure I can claim that title, but I appreciate the sentiment. Yeah.
Actually, Chelsea had a question. Which Fives player has scored the best goal in a CCFC shirt?
Damn, man, that's a really hard one. There's so many outstanding goals that I could mention. Like, it makes all right. Can I name a few? Of
course you can.
I mean, I do remember a comeback goal from Jess where she came from the back, man. She came from the back like a
plundered through everyone.
It was Monday out, I believe, in the league though. Remember, because we had those two friendlies at first and later played them in the league.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was against them. So that goal always sticks with me. Obviously, I've already mentioned the back pass and that shot from Sinead more recently. But no, there's so many. There's a goal of yours, Bells, I can think of. There's
one solitary goal, but I am so happy with it.
There's so many. I don't know that I could actually, and it doesn't feel right to. I'd need to go back and review them all, and unfortunately, we don't have the footage. We need the footage, don't we? I mean, we've got some amazing. Big thanks to Gary for coming and taking all those pictures.
Yeah,
totally. Really like lifts it as well, and adds to the everyone, I think. And
yeah, absolutely. I'm just gonna. Wow, we've got a lot of questions. Okay, so right, I'm gonna choose this one, which says, Paul would like to know about your early playing days that you mentioned in the club program. Like, how good were you? How far could you have gone if there was more support? And what do you think of Trevor Brooking?
Yeah, it's funny. I missed things out in that because there was like when I told that story, because I never mentioned the Millwall Lionesses, because it's hard to admit that when you played for West Ham. What was the question again? What was my early career? How good was I? Well, it depends who you ask that one. I mean, and I do feel like football was stolen from me somewhat. So, when I came back to football, it's hard to say. I like to think I could have been a contender, I don't know. I don't know. I think I was quite a decent attacking midfielder, if I'm honest. I do. I think I was quite decent, and I do wonder what would have happened, but wasn't to be.
It's so important to highlight that you were playing with the boys, and then you hit the old glass ceiling, and then couldn't go any further because of your gender, which is crazy. And you were equally, if not, a lot more talented than most of the guys you were playing with as well. But that was the sort of end of it.
Yeah, it's really sad. I mean, I still get a bit. Yeah, it's just such a shame, If I think about like sort of late 80s, early 90s, there wasn't anything there. So once I hit 12, like I was lucky, I got to go to the West Ham Academy, even though I was a girl, the only girl, But after that, there wasn't really anything. There was the Millwall Lionesses. There was a little bit of that. Maybe there could have been more, but there was actually other life events and stuff going on that kind of pulled it for me. Some point I kind of feel like I should have a Me Too moment and talk about that, because it was related to football, and there are a lot of, at that point, the FA didn't take any responsibility for women's football, and there were coaches that were exploitative involved, and there were court cases that have never really been talked about, and at some point maybe that story needs to be told, but I don't think this is the space for it. So I lost women's football, well, football lost me for a long time, and then I came back and I played for this team that was mainly kind of Spanish-speaking guys who were called, this is in the late 90s, were called the International Bastards, and we were initially called the Kettering Kids and then the International Bastards, which is a much better name, and we won the Anarchist Cup. We were in the final 3 years in a row and won it twice, beating the Trade Union Congress, who were pretty big and scary, and that was 7-a-side, that was. So there was a bit of football over the years, and I did play for Haringey for a bit in my early 30s.
Yeah.
But what was the question? I'm rambling, aren't I?
No, you're not at all. Well, I think most pertinent is, what do you think of Trevor Brooking?
Mixed feelings about our Trev. It's funny, after that article, my dad was like, Trevor Brooking didn't laugh. I talked about that ceremony, I think, when I got the player of the summer at West Ham Academy. And I don't think, I'll always have a space in my heart for our Trevor, Sir Trevor, as we should call him.
I think you should say what happens with that, so it's we have a reference.
I've just got this memory that's now been slightly disputed by my dad. But at the West Ham Academy, there's like an award ceremony at the end, and all the parents come, everyone, and Trevor was there. And they give out, the player's player, the manager's player, all of that sort of stuff. And they gave, I was the only girl there, the first, as I understand, the first ever girl to go there. I was under 12, so I was allowed to. It was just before I turned 12. And they gave me a trophy. And Trevor gave a little speech and had to go off and get it. And he said, you know, she was by far the best player for a girl. And the for girl part, everyone kind of chuckled. And to me, it was just like humiliation on the stage with Trevor Brooking. Like, I was a footballer before I was a girl. Like, it hadn't kind of quite commuted in my brain. Like, I hadn't kind of hit that wall of misogyny yet that you hit when you hit puberty when you're a girl growing up in this in this culture. You know, I hadn't quite hit that yet. Even I had experienced it, but I didn't really understand it, I suppose, on a lot of levels. Anyway, yeah, it was like a punch in the stomach. And my dad does remember the tears, and he's like, why were you crying? Why, you know, he's also, I think, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so I've still got a place in my heart for Trevor, but I do think that, yeah, it's not as big as maybe with some other West Ham fans, shall we say. Even though he was a winning header against Arsenal in 1980. Even though it was tongue stuck out, yeah.
I'm going to ask you a really quick question and then go and grab my phone cable because it's about to run out. So you can answer the question while I go and grab it.
All right.
So there's a question from Sigs8 who's just come up on the chat. It says, why do you think there has been a dip in the diversity in the England's women's team when we're a more diverse country than we were 20 years ago?
It's an interesting question, a really good question. You can get your cable and I'll ruminate on that because there's also, I think, a dip in it's noticeable within Clapton at times as well, and in women's football generally at times. So the question's about, I think the institutions that run football are inherently biased, whether that's unconscious or conscious bias in terms of race, class and gender, and much like our government. And that gets played out, you know. If you have monocultures running organisations, people gravitate to the same, don't they? Adjust for different needs because they don't need to. They're in a monoculture, and that's generally white men running the FA and running women's football and men's football. I think within women's football itself and the way it's grown in this country, there's some difficult questions to be asked around class and race as well, and how we can be more inclusive. I was really pleased to see the statement put out by the women's first team at Clapton around that issue. We have to consciously make up for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years of bias and uneven sort of and unhealthy power structures. And I don't know, I can't quite find the language now because I start to feel emotional when I think about this. And it's about class, gender and race, and they're all really uncomfortable for people to think about in this country, or just generally, and we're all responsible for it, and we're responsible for fixing it. You know, we are all educated on the back of essentially of slavery, aren't we? This country's built on it, you know, and the institutions are built on it, and the FA and the privilege that the FA have had to establish itself and set itself up and build these leagues and whatnot is all built on racism and misogyny and theft. And you know, mustn't forget that.
Yeah, no.
You mustn't forget that. So what was the actual question? I feel like I've gone on another rant. Go on.
No, I think you you got to the gist of that actually, just about you know, why there's been a dip in the diversity in the England women's team.
It's so hard to see as well, you know. I think, you know, like you can talk about, it's interesting in men's football. I think black players are starting to be better represented within the squad. But what about Southeast Asian players? I mean, you heard what that, I nearly swore again, that fella from the FA got sacked for saying.
Yes.
You know, saying, they just want to do IT. Like, sort of some genetic predisposition to IT or to football for white people or something. It's like, what? Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of work to be done around the way we think about people, and a lot of that is unconscious and conscious bias.
Absolutely.
Have I done it? I worry that I go off on tangents on these questions.
Not at all. Not at all. Okay, so honestly, I've got so many. I like this question. Well, I mean, it kind of ties into what you were just saying there. But Gary asked, well, he's saying, imagine you're now in charge of the FA. What's the first things that you do?
Sack everyone who works there, and all the board. Sack the board, sack the directors, sack everyone. And then put out adverts in things like The Voice, LGBT magazines. I'd put the job advert in different places. I'd want to get people as diverse as possible with a background in football, and they're there, you know, they are there. But I'd want the aim would be to have the most diverse board possible, and that would be not just, you know, I would want that to be around class, race, and gender, and sexuality, and disability, and I think until that happens, we're going to get the same old, same old. It's like that fellow, I can't remember his name now, he just had to resign. He went before the diversity committee and said that. I mean, he must have been talking like that for decades, and all the people around him, no one pulled him on it. Clearly.
Yes, men around him, isn't it?
Sacked a lot of them, they're all responsible for it, you know. And I hope one day that happens, and that the FA represents the people that play football. One day.
That's a great answer. Can we put you in charge now?
I'd love it, yeah. Might need some help though.
I'll come with you. Okay, this is another question from Gary. And I think we both know the answer to this because there's already someone doing this, well, on their way. But he said, I'd love to see a player join the beginners fives and work their way up to the CCFC women's first team. Is this realistic for the future?
I think, yeah, it's not the primary aim of what we're doing, but yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was thinking about it, we've got two that are dipping their toe into the development. Yeah. I'm not going to name them, I don't want to embarrass them on here or put them on the spot, it's up to them. But yeah, we've got two that are in talks with development. One who's played out a little bit with development for a first game before this lockdown. And so, yeah, absolutely. This is a way of bringing women back into football that have been excluded, as well as a thing in itself that stands alone as an opportunity to be part of Clapton and be part of football and be part of the community that comes with football. Do you know what I mean? So it's not the primary aim, but it's lovely when it happens. I think it's really hard for some people in football to not always aim to be elite and actually be like, okay, this is about so much more than that. And the psychology of group sports and the power of community in terms of health and our well-being is a huge part of what makes football, for some people, be able to be elite football players. But to most of us, they're the primary sort of drivers for football. People coming together for matches, people coming together and having a kick about in the park. People, you know, all those sort of things are just as important as the league final penalty shootout, you know. Kind of feel it in the moment, but, you know.
Who are your influences as a coach and player? What's your football philosophy?
Oh, wow. There's so much. I'm often going on about Cruyff, aren't I, in total football in terms of the fives. So, yeah, he's a huge influence for me. I think, who else? I think you have to remember people like Dick Kerr Ladies and Preston North End and what they did. Preston were one of the few teams that allowed women's on their pitches during the FA ban, and they were punished for it. And Dick Kerr Ladies, it's interesting when you watch the PAF footage of it, you know, in the 1920s. Who invented tiki-taki football? Was it Barker or was it Dick Kerr 100 years earlier? You know, there's so much has been lost. Because, like, when I read tactic books, like Inverting the Triangle is a seminal tactics book for any coach to read. And it's a history of kind of football tactics, but doesn't include anything about women's football and those tactics. So, you know, they're missing a huge trick there, and men's football could develop a lot quicker if they did get over.
And I mean, before the ban, you know, when all the men were away at war, women's football was absolutely enormous.
Yeah, I mean, bigger than men before they went to war. Yeah, hundreds of thousands. And the first ever black player to play for England was a woman called Emily Clark, who played at Hampton Park for the British Ladies. And, you know, about, I don't know how many years before Walter Toll, but quite a few decades before Walter Toll. So I think we've got to remember that and remember the ban in this country. And generally, even in other countries where there wasn't a direct ban, just misogyny, you know, holding it back. But no, I've lost my tangent there, definitely. What was the actual question? Is it gone?
No, you answered who's your influences.
Oh, yeah, football heroes. It's a big week for me. You know, I was 10 in '86. Maradona was big for me. even if his character is questionable. He's I distinctly remember learning the little flick he uses. You know, he'd lift it when he'd knock it past the player. We've done it in training, actually, Bells. That's Maradona, mate.
You've done it. I don't know if I have.
We've tried it, mate. We've tried it, yeah. You know, so that's a big win. But I wouldn't quote him. I'd say at the moment, a big person for me is Bielsa. You know, Marcelo Bielsa's come over and he's turned a team languishing at the bottom of the Champions League into a Premier League contender. And it's so beautiful to see, if slightly mad. Yeah, I like that. I like that. That's a joy to watch. Obviously, I've enjoyed watching Pep and Klopp and, you know, and all the rest of it. But thinking about players, when I was a kid, my biggest hero was Tony Cottee. I named my cat TC. Everyone thought it was after Top Cat, but it was my secret first love. Tony Cottee, attacking midfielder for West Ham, 1986 top goal scorer. But yeah, and that's going back a bit. Frank McAvenny was a big one for me as well back in the day. But yeah, nowadays there's so many players I admire. Like everyone goes on about Messi, but for me, it'd be nothing without Iniesta. I'm a huge Iniesta fan. I like watching more sort of midfield players and how they manage, I suppose. Yeah, watching up, but then on the other hand, at the moment, it's a joy to watch Alphonso Davies as well, isn't it? He's a real standout. I like watching that. Yeah, I could go on about this. There's too many.
All right.
Overall, Ronaldinho is my king, I think. I'll say.
Oh yes, of course. Yeah. Okay, this is a really good question. Another one from Simon. He said, how were you able to create a team ethic and improve techniques so quickly with players who are new to competitive sport apart from coaching drills?
Don't know, man. They kind of did it themselves. I think the psychology of it is really important, isn't it? If you encourage a person and you praise a person, their confidence will grow and they'll do it better. So yeah, all right, maybe that helped. But people went away and trained.
Yeah, I mean, I think that. I mean, I probably answer a bit of that. It's just that you are incredibly, incredibly positive, and you're not. What's the word I'm looking for? You sort of don't. There's no belittling anyone. Everyone's like on a level playing field. Whether you have played before or not kicked a ball before, you're encouraging, but you also give people a belief that they can actually do something with it, and like it's incredible. I really, honestly, you, Julie, and Byron have just been absolutely outstanding. I think we've been really, really, really lucky to have you. I
mean, I think Julie's brilliant with keeping people's spirits up.
Did you know she was goalkeeper of the year?
Yeah. Did you not know that? Yeah, she's an outstanding keeper. That woman's reaction time is unbelievable sometimes. I'm like, sometimes she gets pissed off with me. There's times she's had to do multiple saves and I've stopped running back and just been kind of watching.
No, she's amazing. Yeah, she is. She's incredible. Yeah. No, I think. No, I was just going to reiterate what I said there. No, I just think we're really lucky. Like you, also, it's just a way of training us that is really accessible as well. Like I did do a bit of training with another team, a guy who won't be named, but he was just like a drill sergeant and was just so unaccommodating and. I don't know. He almost acted like he was like a gift to women's football, and that was just awful in itself, Yeah. So yeah, just think you've done brilliantly. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, Bells, I've got to say, because it's been a joy to watch your development, and I know how much you put into it as well. It takes so much guts to go, all right, I'm going to learn a new skill. And because it's more than just learning a skill, because it's football and it comes with so much baggage, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does.
They think it's their game and it's a joke and they're going to laugh and they're going to mock and all of that,
Yeah.
You feel all of that. You can feel all of that. And I think trying to kind of protect everyone from any bullshit and just let them have a fucking go. And massive respect to everyone who came in and said, as an adult, I'm going to learn a new skill and put myself out. Yeah. And then to see you do that and then develop, like if I think how you were on Hackney Downs that first, back in the day, to watching you now, with your your silky skills. It's been a joy to watch.
Yeah.
It really has. Yeah, it's unbelievable. And you got no idea how much, like, on the sidelines, that's what we go through on the sidelines as
Oh
coaching.
no, I feel it too. Oh my God. Just when
It,
you come off and then you watch the team play, it's just your heart is in your mouth the whole time.
yeah, and
It's brilliant.
anything can happen in a five-a-side as well, isn't it? It's like
Yeah.
a switch like in a football game, but yeah.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Jeff, Mr. Okran, he says, have you been to many men's and women's 11s games, which I know you have. Do you have a favourite player for each side?
Oh, that's a difficult one. Probably, but I don't know if I've been to enough to name them right now. I haven't been to a men's game in a little while. It's a shame, Jeff, because when we started the training, it's on Saturdays, so that's prevented me from going to a men's game in a little while. So I'm cautious not to name anyone. I mean, Elliot's obviously always stands out as carrying that team in a lot of ways, and just the dedication, is nice to watch. But I couldn't name. Oh, Josh actually stands out for me as well.
Yeah, Josh.
He stands out for me. Yeah, definitely, he stands out for me. I'm trying to think what your centre back's called. Big fella, and he reads it really well. Yeah, I don't feel able to too much, Jeff, but. And with the women's team, obviously, it's the same. It's kind of difficult. I kind of like Kiara when she's in midfield. Always stands out for me. She's got a trick up. She can take control and slow or speed that game up. Like I'm a big fan of midfielders, particularly central midfielders, because I think it's the most important. Maybe not most important, but a very important job on the field and one of the hardest. So it's always good to see that working well. So yeah, that stands out for me. Obviously, Emily Link stands out for me and always will, an out striker. Watching Larissa's been a joy as well, hasn't it, this season?
Yeah, quite a
and I'm trying to think Mim, actually. You've got a new player in the women's team called Mim. She really stands out for me. I think she's right back. And she can just take it. She's got an eye for the channels. I like the players that can see the channels, that can see the path. Can see the gaps, and she stands out.
And the women's team are playing on Sunday in Regent's Park, so obviously if you can get down to it, support us as well. 2:00 kick-off, I think. Double check that. But yeah, obviously support us, really, really welcome. There's another question that says, are there any teams in the league you're looking forward to playing?
Yeah, I think so. I'm looking forward to this game against Islington Reds on Thursday, and I know that a couple of them turned up at our training, didn't they?
Yeah.
And we were very accommodating. I mean, they weren't like dedicated members, but they were kind of dipping their toe in each team, weren't they? So, yeah. But I think I'm looking forward to that game. I'm looking forward to see the Fives back in action.
Yeah.
I like it when you play MSA as well, because I think that's you're both kind of have developed at the same sort of pace, set up at the same sort of time. So
MSA
is always a good one.
We really, really like MSA as well.
Yeah, they're lovely, aren't they? And they're hosting side football at Brentford, aren't they? So yeah. Is there any you're particularly looking forward to now Monday I've dropped out?
Reds. Definitely Reds. Yeah. And also Todo after our last match. So yeah, looking forward to the reverse of that one.
Yeah. We'll want you out there in that midfield, Bells, all day, okay?
Yeah.
No matter what.
Do you the real SK? Hello. Do you fancy taking what does it say? Do you fancy taking the Saturday men's team if you get offered the position, the other Saturday men's team?
What, the development team? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I do like coaching, but I'm not kind of pining for any of that. What I really like is bringing women into football and watching them go. So probably not. But I mean, if it was needed, I'd do it for Clapton. Clapton has done so much for me.
Yeah.
for women's football, then, you know, if they were like, crisis, we need a coach, I'll cover for a few weeks. But not really. No, I'm not actually really that interested in so I don't know, maybe I regret saying this and that'll change and I want to get into elite football, but I doubt it. I think football's about so much more than that. Yeah, that's just one aspect of it, which is I enjoy watching and I can appreciate, but not.
He
not
said
what
no. He said no. The men's team.
Would I take on? Would I coach? I mean, I have coached the men's team. I'm not against coaching the men's team, but right now my thing is bringing women into football. We were banned, you know. Yeah, kind of like my mum team. So yeah, I would. I'm not against it, coaching men, but I think that's not what I'm aiming for at the moment.
Do you want? Susanna said. Stefan is asking. Do you want Jeff's job?
Jeff's job? No, Jeff does a great job. Massive respect. Of course not. Of course not. I just need to get to some more men's games, but yeah, my time will come. My time will come when we'll be able to squeeze it in. Clapton men's team that brought me into this, you know.
Yeah.
I've seen Jeff play actually.
Have
going back. So yeah, I have. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Right, there's just a couple more. Eva said, what's the biggest challenge for Fives football in the future?
I don't know. I think we're going to need some more coaches soon because we've got so many players. So I think the biggest challenge is going to be meeting the demand, actually. Can the club meet the demand? Because obviously, if we're going to put more teams in more leagues, we need to affiliate, we need to pay, we need to, you know, we've had to secure a training place again. How are we going to manage the growth, really? Yeah. And I'm a volunteer, I've got a full-time job, I've got a daughter, I've got, you know, everybody, you know, same with Julie and Byron, they've got other commitments. Yeah, so at some point, I think the biggest challenge is going to be we need to get coaches in, but not coaches that really wish they were elite coaches. We need coaches that come in that understand that football is a tool for building community, building fitness, building well-being. You know, got to be the right coach with the right sort of attitude, because football can be a tool. You know, it can be a really important, as well as the most beautiful game in the world, and more important than life or death, it is also a tool. Yeah, I hear you. All right, I'm going to do the last question, which Chelsea has said, would you like to be involved with starting a youth girls team for CCFC? I would love to, Chelsea. I just don't, you know, of course. You know, it's difficult for me because now I've started this and it's blown up and it's taken up a significant amount of my time. I haven't got the space to commit to that right now. And in a way, you know, girls' football's, you know, something I would love to in the future be more involved in, you know. Yeah. But I think right now, what we're doing right now, I'm happy with. And it's just about manageable. There's been times it's felt unmanageable, you know, because it's such a big commitment and there's so much, people put so much heart in it. You can't have people doing all that training and then letting them down in some way, you know, and the logistics of it all and the kind of preparing and being present and preparing training sessions, you know, all of that. I feel like I haven't got space for it at the moment. And I think what the young Tons are doing is absolutely amazing. And if there's anyone out there that can help and support with that, I'd really want them to, because I really want to grow football for the next generation of girls so they don't go through what my generation went through, which was slightly worse than the next generation. But even what the current generation have got isn't good enough. It's not good enough. Lockdown came in, all elite sports academies, all women's girls elite football academies were closed, whereas the boys were deemed too important to close. Do you know what I mean? There's just the England women's football team, up until this season, had to go in an NHS queue for physio. I mean, it's just like ridiculous, absolutely. And it's so disrespectful on so many different levels that it's hard to talk about it because I just get upset. I'd rather just live there and crack on playing football with my mates and Clapton and, you know, stay in that world there. There's a time and a place for campaigning about the FA and sacking everyone, but I can't keep tapping into that because I'm powerless over that and it makes me too upset and angry. It's such a misogynistic, racist and privileged institution that we just can't let it wreck what we're doing.
Yeah, I understand. Well, I think that is it. We have managed to fill a whole hour, Ellie, and I actually could probably keep on talking to you. I'm pretty sure everyone else could listen as well. We've still got a lot of people watching. But yeah, that was awesome. I am really looking forward to Thursday, and obviously when things get better, hopefully next year, it would be great if people come down and support the fives when that's possible as well. I'd love to have some people come down.
40-minute matches is worth coming down for. It's 20 minutes away. It's proper football. It's a lovely atmosphere. You'll be comfortable as soon as lockdown lifts. I hope people. Yeah.
Well, as soon as we can have spectators. Well, that was awesome. So thanks, Ellie. Thanks everyone for watching. We're going to put it up on YouTube as well. If anyone else wants to watch it, definitely forward it on to people. Don't forget about the appeal. And we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Belge, you're a star, mate.
All right. Cheers, Ellie.
See you later.
Bye.